Are there any kids still in the house?
My daughter was in there, yes.
That's Roconda Singleton. She's outside of her home that's burning. Now she's in jail, accused of setting that fire with her 3 daughters inside, killing one of them.
This is a shockingly cruel, unimaginable crime committed by a mom against her 3 kids.
Welcome to Crime Fix. I'm Angenette Levy. This is one of those cases that is really hard to wrap your head around. It's absolutely shocking. A mother named Roconda Singleton is accused of setting a fire at her own home with her 3 daughters inside. The oldest daughter was killed in that fire. Shamiya Stewart was just 12 years old. She suffered severe burns after police in Grand Rapids, Michigan said her mother set their home on fire. Shamiya was sleeping when the fire started, and she sadly passed away. Fortunately, Shamiya's younger sisters made it out safely when her 10-year-old sister grabbed their 7-year-old sister, and get this, they jumped out of a window. But police say Singleton may have tried to keep those children from escaping the home.
Preliminary investigation points to that she was attempting to keep them inside, yes.
It was just after 7:20 a.m. on Saturday, January 25th, when a witness called the Grand Rapids Fire Department and said the house was on fire. The GRFD determined the fire was deliberately set. 46-year-old Roconda Singleton faces 3 counts of second-degree child abuse and first-degree arson, and more charges could be coming. Grand Rapids PD released the body-worn camera footage from the scene where 42 firefighters fought the flames. The footage begins with an officer approaching Singleton outside of the house.
Are there any kids still in the house?
My daughter was in there, yes.
Is she still in there? Where is she? Second floor, what corner? Where's her bedroom? Which corner? Shane, there might be still one kid inside on the second floor.
The flames are absolutely raging, and the firefighters are working to knock down the flames.
Stay here for me. Kid who might still be inside is named upstairs. Just one kid in there. Do we have an ambulance on standby? Ooh, that's gonna be wet and cold.
Is there a police unit who's blocking southbound Eastern? In that case, 1818, can you block southbound Eastern at, let's say, Watkins? Hold up.
4 search teams went into that house searching for 12-year-old Shamiya. The crew found her in an upstairs bedroom and carried her out of the window.
Yeah. Is medical here?
I don't think so.
We're talking about the fire on Eastern, yes, AMR's priority 1, 2 rigs.
I want want to take a break from this just incredibly devastating story to tell you about one of our sponsors. It's Upside. It's a free app that will get you cash back on things like gas, groceries, and restaurants. This is real cash back. It's money that appears in your Upside app that you can transfer straight into your bank account. I've used Upside at places like Dunkin' Donuts when I needed a cup of tea. I've claimed an offer for Dunkin' on the app, paid as usual, and followed the steps. Then I got cash back. It's really easy. You can also use Upside at places like Shell, Exxon, Taco Bell, Chipotle, and that's just to name a few. To find out how much you could earn, click the link in the description to download Upside or scan the QR code that's on your screen and use our promo code CRIMEFIX to get an extra 25 cents back on every gallon on your first tank of gas. That's promo code CRIMEFIX for extra cash back. Instantly, those firefighters worked to save Shamiya's life before taking her to the hospital.
And you see those flames that are coming out, 5-10 feet, just flames extending from the house. And knowing that that little girl was upstairs in that bedroom the entire time that those videos were taking place is just, unimaginable is the only way I can describe it. Watching that in retrospect and knowing that she's up there is devastating to see.
The Grand Rapids police chief revealed startling details. He said Singleton removed the home's smoke detectors before dousing the house with lighter fluid and setting that fire.
To put it lightly, that's saying something. This is a shockingly cruel, unimaginable crime committed by a mom against her 3 kids. This is a mom that meticulously took all 7 of her smoke detectors and put them in a bag and removed them from the house before she poured lighter fluid all over the house and lit it on fire in an attempt to kill her 3 children.
According to police, Singleton poured lighter fluid throughout the first and second floors of the home, even soaking the couch. I mentioned the police chief said Roconda Singleton went through the home and took down all of the smoke detectors. Well, guess what? The officers found those after they kept hearing a beeping sound.
Just one kid in there.
They actually found that bag of smoke detectors in the backyard. It's unbelievable. It makes you wonder why someone would do such a thing.
I cannot fathom any motive at all. I know Megan just was asking questions about mental health. That's the first thing I go to, that there's mental health issues. I think that's something that will probably play out throughout the criminal justice process. But there's nothing. I mean, this is a mom who tried to murder her 3 beautiful little daughters. I have no idea.
Shamiya suffered burns on up to 30% of her body, and she eventually died at a children's hospital later that evening. According to the young girl's family, Shamiya was a fighter from the day she was born. She was born weighing less than 2 pounds and spent the first 4 months of her life in the NICU. That didn't stop her, though, from growing into a beautiful young girl. Funeral services for Shamiya will take place on February 8th. The youngest daughters, aged 10 and 7, have since been released from the hospital. WWMT-TV reports that court documents quote Singleton as telling police, "I am not going to sit here and play like I am the victim." And she claimed she set the fire so she could die with her 3 daughters, so they could all be free. So I want to bring in Ron Wallace. He is a retired fire chief and a career police officer. Ron, I really want to get your thoughts on this body camera footage. When I first saw it, I was shocked at how huge these flames were. I mean, they are just like bursting from the windows in this house. This was a fierce, ferocious, I don't even know if ferocious is the right word, but this was a huge, huge fire.
Oh, you're right. My first thoughts, as far as with that much fire, it was obviously there's a high likelihood that it was an incendiary set fire, intentionally set. I would begin to guess or surmise that a flammable liquid may have been used, which we found out later on that was the case. And just so your viewers know, a flammable liquid basically means that liquid is putting out a vapor at room temperature that is ready to be ignited. So like gasoline is a flammable liquid, is extremely dangerous. I've even been told that a gallon of gasoline is like 2 sticks of dynamite. That much energy is is latent in that. So in this scenario, in this case, she used lighter fluid as a flammable liquid. She ignites it, and if she, depending on how much she poured out. But another thing too is modern day furnitures and that kind of thing with the proliferate with plastics. Modern day fires will burn much faster and much hotter than back in the days when you had mostly cotton and wood. Mm-hmm. So that would also attribute to that.
Yeah. So the plastic would be fuel, essentially. Something like,
yes.
I'm just going to throw this out there, polypropylene, or, there was also, a statement made apparently that, Roconda Singleton had doused the couch in lighter fluid. So, we don't know what was in the couch cushions. I mean, that stuff can go up like that.
Right.
So all of these things, more so than something like wood, as you just mentioned, can be highly flammable and add fuel to the fire. So if you were responding to this fire and you pull up in your fire truck, in your tanker, what have you, and you see a fire like this, you're thinking to yourself immediately, somebody set this, and this was likely, an accelerant.
Well, my immediate concerns right away would be life safety. My immediate concerns would be, is there still somebody in that house? And one of the unwritten rules in the fire services, even though they tell you that everybody's out, you don't take that for granted. You don't take that as being the Bible, because oftentimes people may think that everybody's out, but there's also times when people will go back in to try to retrieve another family member or try to retrieve a pet or something of value, and now they've become a victim. So immediately, my first thought when I pull up on that is, what are my life hazards? Do we still have somebody inside the house? Depending on the proximity of that house that's burning to the other two houses on either side, you start to worry about the exposures and how much heat are they taking in, or is there people in those houses that we need to vacate from the house, take out of the house? So that's my first thought. The thought of the arson typically doesn't come in until after you've located victims or completed your search, knocked down your fire and got it under control. That's when you start to think, or you start to realize what started this. Because that's one of the things about a fire is, or an arsonist, you have to look at the motive. Why did somebody do this? Was there a mental illness associated with it? Was there a financial factor associated with it, like a life insurance policy or a homeowner's policy? They're getting ready to lose the home, to foreclosure. And we've seen hero syndrome, where somebody will set a fire and attempt to put it out, but it's too big. And because they wanted to be the hero that put the fire out. So there's all these different things. Relationship breakups, that's another big one. There's a motive behind it. So, you go on the scene, you observe, you walk the scene, you walk around it, you determine, as best you can, where to enter and how to extinguish the fire. But you also have a crew going in to conduct a search. Now, that being said, if you've got a house that's completely fully engulfed, you're not going to send somebody inside, because you're not going to be saving anything, and even, a pet or a person's not, they can't sustain inside of a building like that. But that house there would have been people going to the second floor. And I think I've seen that in the video, because
the 12-year-old daughter, Shamiya, was still in the house sleeping. It's just heartbreaking. And she sadly passed away. The 10-year-old and 7-year-old were able to get out of the house. The mother, Roconda Singleton, is accused of setting this fire. According to some court documents that have been filed in the case, she admitted to doing it. She said that she wanted to die with her daughters in order to be free. However, when they arrive, there she is outside of the house. I mean, 12-year-old daughter died. I mean, this is horrific. And so the police are saying she confessed to the crime. And so that's just what is so heartbreaking to me. And so she, according to the police, douses the whole house, goes over the first and second floor with lighter fluid, which is obviously highly flammable. That's why it's called lighter fluid. And then sets this fire. And then I don't know if she thought better of it, or I don't know what happened. And then she leaves the house. I mean, she leaves the house, and then a witness calls 911. I mean, it doesn't sound like she did anything to try to save her children.
I mean, that's very concerning. I mean, in hearing that side of it, as an arson investigator, I would definitely be looking at, maybe mental illness issues. When we go in to investigate a fire like that, once the fire is knocked down, we go in and we determine the point of origin or area of origin. And a fire like that, based on what we know is her pouring the stuff around the house, there's going to be multiple, obviously. So you're going to take samples from those areas. You're going to send those off to a lab, and the lab will tell you what it was that was used. Now, there's another thing you have to do also is you take what they call a control sample. And that's where you're taking that from a different part of the occupancy to test that as well. And the reason I say that is because remember we were talking before about how, furniture and modern plastics and stuff will increase the rate of burning. And so what you want to, if you get a reading on something and it shows a high level of, a plastic or something like that, and you take another sample that wasn't involved or didn't have the accelerant used, and you can compare and show that the two are different. This one over here contained lighter fluid. This one over here did not. Because you can't, they can't come out and say that, oh, well, yeah, there's chemicals in there, so it's going to break it down. Well, that's why you take another control sample to show that, wait a minute, no, it's not the same. This one contained, an accelerant, whereas this it was taken from the same couch or whatever. Does that make sense?
Yes. It seems to me, though, to be just a miracle that these other children made it out of the house. I mean, it's so sad to me that the 12-year-old passed away. Now the mother, Roconda Singleton, she's facing the possibility of life in prison if she's convicted of the arson charge. And they say she confessed to this. Obviously, she'll plead not guilty. That's how things work. But you're talking about mental health concerns. I mean, just the statement that she made that she wanted to die with her daughters so they could all be free, it does kind of raise that issue. I kind of put your police officer hat on right now. It does kind of raise that concern that maybe there was a mental illness thing going on there.
Oh, absolutely. You as an arson investigator, you're going to look at all the different angles, all the different possible motives, and roll them out. Again, did she recently purchase life insurance policy on the children? Did she recently increase property insurance on her home? Was she in the process of losing her home through foreclosure? I mean, you look at all these different things and you investigate all those different things so that you can narrow it down to, one or maybe a second motive why it was done. And certainly my thought on this as a police officer and as a firefighter or fire investigator would be that maybe there was some mental illness involved in this. It's not an excuse by any stretch, but it's just not normal that someone would set their house on fire and leave their children inside.
Well, Ron Wallace, thank you so much for your time. I really appreciate it. We'll keep an eye on it and see where the case goes.
Okay. Thank you.
And again, Roconda Singleton is behind bars, facing serious charges, and more charges could be filed. That's it for this episode of Crime Fix. I'm Angenette Levy. Thanks so much for being with me. I'll see you back here next time.